Have you ever imagined being on top of the world, surrounded by luxury and power, and yet feeling an emptiness that nothing seems to fill? This is the story of Lucas Montero, a millionaire who, after meeting a Buddhist monk in a remote temple, found himself forced to question everything he knew about life and happiness. In deep conversations about detachment and the true meaning of existence, Lucas discovered something he never expected. What made him abandon everything he had built? And what can this unexpected transformation reveal about our own choices and the price of true contentment? Get ready for a journey that will challenge your beliefs and touch the depths of your soul. What Lucas found may be exactly what you need to face your own doubts and fears. Before we continue, I would like you to check if you are already subscribed to my channel, so that I can continue bringing you more stories like these. Lucas Montero is a name that echoes in event halls and corporate corridors around the world. At 45, he is the epitome of material success, a renowned businessman whose financial achievements are admired and envied by many. His fortune is colossal, accumulated over years of tireless work and brilliant business decisions. But behind the glitter of the numbers and the reports in business magazines, there is a story of unrest that few know about. Lucas's life is the epitome of luxury and power. He lives in a mansion that resembles a modern palace. The house is a spectacle of extravagance. Double-height living rooms, crystal chandeliers that illuminate the space with a golden glow, and a collection of works of art that could fill a museum. The view from the mansion is breathtaking, with meticulously manicured gardens and a swimming pool that seems to disappear into the horizon. Lucas's cars are almost as iconic as he himself. He owns a fleet of state-of-the-art sports cars, each one more elegant and faster than the last. These cars are not just means of transportation, are symbols of his success and the status he has earned over the years. When Lucas drives, he does so with the confidence of someone who has mastered not only the road, but the destination itself. His life is not limited to the four walls of his mansion. Lucas is a tireless traveler, crossing continents in private jets and staying in luxury hotels that are the height of comfort and sophistication. Each trip is a new adventure, a chance to explore different cultures and experience the best of every corner of the planet. Yet, despite all his achievements and the glamorous life he leads, Lucas is haunted by an inexplicable feeling of emptiness. In moments of reflection, when the hustle and bustle of everyday life subsides, he finds himself looking out the window of his mansion at the city lights below him and asking himself, is there something more than this? This feeling is not just a passing echo. It is a growing restlessness that haunts him even in the quietest moments. On quiet nights when the world outside is quiet and the city lights twinkle like distant stars, Lucas feels a sense of disconnect. The success, wealth, and luxury that once seemed like the solution to all his problems now seem like mere superficial elements, incapable of filling the emptiness he feels inside. Lucas begins to realize that despite having everything he could ever want, he is not finding the fulfillment and happiness he imagined would come with success. He finds himself constantly searching for something he cannot clearly define, a sense of purpose or fulfillment that seems to slip through his fingers. This is the moment when Lucas's restlessness begins to grow, setting the stage for a transformation he never imagined possible. At this point in the story, the audience begins to understand that despite his outward shine and grandiose achievements, Lucas Montero is about to embark on a profound and revealing inner journey that will lead him to question everything he knew about success, happiness, and the meaning of life. It was a cold winter morning in New York, and the city was shrouded in a blanket of fog. The skyline, usually dotted with lights and movement, was now covered in a thick layer of gray, as if reflecting Lucas Montero's inner state. He was preparing for a crucial business meeting, one of many that filled his packed schedule. This meeting was particularly important because it involved a corporate merger that promised to further consolidate his financial empire. Lucas walked into the conference room with his usual confidence. The executives and investors, gathered around a long dark wood table, were waiting for the presentation to begin. The chairs were neatly arranged, and the financial reports, neatly organized in glossy folders, were ready to be distributed. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, like a stage about to host a grand spectacle. He began the presentation with his characteristic fluidity and charm. His words were well rehearsed, and the graphics on the projector seemed to tell a story of unbeatable success. But behind his confident smile and impressive numbers, there was a growing internal storm. Over the past few months, the accumulated stress of business decisions, constant travel, and the pressure to maintain his impeccable image had taken its toll on him. Lucas felt increasingly exhausted and overwhelmed, but he forced himself to continue, believing that personal satisfaction was just one more contract away. As he spoke, a strange feeling began to set in. His heart was beating faster, and a tightness in his chest made him feel like something crucial was missing. Lucas's normally sharp and focused mind was clouded and disoriented. He tried to keep his composure, but his words began to blur, and his view of the graphs on the screen seemed distorted. Suddenly, during a break in the presentation, Lucas had a panic attack. He felt as if the air was being squeezed out of his lungs, and a sense of derealization took hold of him. The room began to spin, and he had to hold on to the table to keep from falling. The murmurs of concern from the audience began to mix with the ringing in his ears. In a moment of clarity, he realized that he was in the midst of an emotional breakdown. What should have been a moment of triumph and pride quickly turned into a personal nightmare. Lucas's face paled, and he tried unsuccessfully to control the situation. His concerned colleagues and investors helped him out of the room. He retreated to his office, the place where he had usually found refuge but now felt suffocating. The crisis was not just a physical breakdown. It was the culmination of years of accumulated stress and dissatisfaction. Lucas sat alone in his chair. His vision blurred and his mind a whirlwind of confused thoughts. He felt lost and disillusioned, as if the life he had worked so hard to build was crumbling before his eyes. Feeling devastated and hopeless, Lucas realized he needed a break. The weight of expectations and the emptiness inside became unbearable. He decided he needed some time away from everything he knew. On an impulse, he packed his bags and decided to travel to a remote place, far from the distractions and pressures of the corporate world. He chose a remote and unknown destination, a Buddhist temple in the Himalayan mountains, where he hoped to find the peace and clarity he had been missing. It was a journey into the unknown, a desperate effort to find a new perspective and a deeper understanding of himself. Thus, millionaire Lucas Montero, known for his ostentatious and successful lifestyle, embarked on a journey that promised to change his life forever. He set out, not just in search of a distant physical place, but of an inner space where he could confront his deepest questions and find the true meaning of existence. Lucas Montero's decision to seek a new path led him to an unlikely destination, a remote Buddhist temple in the Himalayan mountains. After a devastating emotional breakdown and feeling of despair, he felt he needed to get away from the frenetic world he lived in and find a place where he could find inner peace. The temple, hidden among imposing snow-capped peaks, was recommended by a friend who knew Lucas needed something deeper and more authentic. Lucas's journey to the temple was nothing short of epic. He flew into a small airport at the base of the mountains, where a steep, winding trail awaited him. The road to the temple was narrow and rugged, winding through the majestic mountain landscape. As the jeep slowly moved forward, Lucas took in the vastness and beauty of the landscape around him. The green of the forests, the bright blue sky, and the peaceful sound of the rivers flowing in the distance were a stark contrast to the urban chaos he had left behind. After several hours of traveling over uneven terrain, Lucas arrived at a small village at the base of the mountain. There, he met a local guide, an elderly man with a serene expression, who led him the last part of the way to the temple. The trail became increasingly narrow and shrouded in a soft mist that gave the place an almost magical feeling. As they approached, the temple began to emerge from the trees, a simple but imposing building with sloping wooden roofs and stone walls that seemed to blend into the natural landscape. Finally, the temple appeared before Lucas, its stone walls gently weathered by time and its roof covered in moss and lichen. It was a place that breathed tranquility, nestled between the mountains that rose majestically around it. The sense of calm and serenity was palpable in the air, and Lucas felt an immediate relief, as if the very atmosphere of the temple was welcoming him and wrapping him in a comforting embrace. As Lucas stepped out of the vehicle and walked through the temple's entrance gate, he was greeted by Lama Dorje, an elderly monk with an imposing presence. The Lama, with his white hair and neatly trimmed beard, wore a simple terracotta-colored robe, and his eyes shone with profound wisdom. He moved with a quiet grace, each step revealing a life of dedication and contemplation. Lama Dorj's presence was both calming and inspiring. "Welcome, Lucas Montero," the Lama said with a warm smile, his voice soft and quiet like the murmur of a brook. "You have arrived at a time of great beauty and silence. The peace you seek is within your reach." Lucas, still a little dazed from the long journey and the grandeur of the place, bowed his head in respect and gratitude. "Thank you, Lama Dorj. I didn't know what to expect, but I already feel a sense of calm." Lama Dorj nodded and motioned for Lucas to follow him. They walked together through the temple courtyard, passing simple, well-tended gardens with colorful flowers and small Buddha statues that seemed to silently observe. Each step seemed to take Lucas deeper into himself, away from the worries and distractions of the outside world. As they explored the temple, Lama Dorj explained that the place was not just a physical retreat, but a space dedicated to the practice of meditation and self-discovery. He spoke about the importance of simplicity and connection with nature, and how these elements were essential to achieving genuine inner peace. Lucas found himself increasingly absorbed by the tranquil atmosphere of the temple and the quiet wisdom of Lama Dorj. He began to realize that this was not just a place to escape his busy life, but an opportunity to immerse himself in a process of reflection and personal transformation. Arriving at the temple with its calm atmosphere and the warm welcome from the Lama marked the beginning of a new phase in Lucas's journey. He was about to embark on a journey of self-discovery and growth, guided by the teachings and wisdom of a monk who seemed to know exactly how to touch the soul of someone who, like him, was searching for deep and meaningful answers. After settling into the temple and feeling the serenity of the surroundings, Lucas began to prepare himself for what he expected to be a journey of introspection. The first few mornings at the temple were spent in silence, with Lucas absorbing the tranquility of the place and adjusting to the slower, more contemplative pace that surrounded him. But the real transformation began when he began a series of conversations with Lama Dorj, the monk who, with his profound wisdom, seemed to have the power to penetrate the deepest layers of the human soul. The conversations began with simple meetings, often in the temple's small meditation room. The walls were decorated with colorful tapestries and images of Buddha, creating a welcoming and introspective environment. Lama Dorj invited Lucas to sit on comfortable cushions around a low table covered in silk and adorned with candles and incense. During their first few meetings, Lama Dorj began to address concepts that were both profound and challenging. He spoke about the concept of detachment, a central tenet of Buddhism. Detachment does not mean abandonment or running away, Lama Dorj explained in a calm, meditative voice. It means understanding that true happiness is not found in possessions, achievements, or status. It is in freeing oneself from constant desire and the need for control. Lucas listened intently, but he was struggling to connect these concepts to his own life. He had devoted years to building his empire, believing that satisfaction came from having more money, more power, more recognition. Now, sitting across from Lama Dorj, he began to question whether this relentless pursuit had truly brought him the happiness he desired. Lama Dorj continued to explore the purpose of life. "What is the purpose you have found in your journey?" he asked Lucas, his expression gentle but penetrating. "Have you found a purpose that goes beyond achievement and material possessions?" Lucas hesitated. He had always seen his life as a series of goals to be achieved, each achievement leading to a new goal. But now, as he listened to the Lama's words, he began to realize that perhaps he had lost sight of what really mattered. He thought about the long hours of work, the constant travel, and the relentless pressure to maintain his position. Where was the deeper purpose in all of this? The monk not only asked questions, but also offered insights and guidance. "True happiness," Lama Dorj said, "comes from a deep understanding of our own being and our connection to the world around us. It is not something that can be acquired, but something that is discovered within ourselves." Over time, Lucas began to reveal his own concerns and doubts. He spoke of the emptiness he felt despite his accomplishments and the disconnection he experienced in his daily life. Lama Dorj listened patiently and offered practical wisdom, suggesting that Lucas reflect on his motivations and values. During one of these meetings, Lama Dorj guided Lucas in a meditation practice, helping him connect with his deepest feelings. As Lucas focused on his breathing and the thoughts that arose, he began to experience a sense of clarity and calm that was strangely new to him. It was as if the layers of complexity and anxiety that had engulfed his mind were peeling away, revealing a simpler, purer understanding of life. The conversations with Lama Dorje were marked by moments of intense introspection and personal discovery. Lucas began to realize that his search for happiness and fulfillment was rooted in external and fleeting concepts. He began to see the need to reevaluate what truly mattered, and to seek a way of living that was more aligned with his authenticity and inner purpose. Lucas' journey through these profound conversations with Lama Dorje was not just a series of exchanges of words, but an immersion into a new way of understanding life. Each conversation was an invitation to look within, question what was true and meaningful, and find a way of living that was truly fulfilling and enriching. As the weeks passed, Lucas felt he was beginning to find answers to questions he never knew he had. Lama Dorje's words were not just distant theories, but teachings that began to resonate deeply with what he felt in his heart. And so Lucas' journey, marked by profound conversations and revealing insights, continued to shape his search for new meaning and purpose in life. As Lucas Montero spent more time at the temple with Lama Dorje, something profound began to happen within him. The serenity of the environment, combined with the deep and challenging conversations with the monk, began to open new horizons in his mind and heart. What began as an escape from pressure and stress turned into a true spiritual awakening. Lucas spent his mornings meditating under the shade of an ancient tree in the temple garden. The gentle sound of the wind in the leaves and the singing of the birds created a natural backdrop for his moments of introspection. As he sat in silence, Lucas felt a calm he had not experienced in a long time. He began to notice the subtleties of nature and the importance of the present moment, something that had always been elusive while he was busy chasing goals and achievements. During these moments of meditation, Lucas reflected on his life choices. He thought about the endless hours spent in meetings, the frequent travel, and the commitments that dominated his time. He asked himself, "Is this what I really wanted for my life? Or was I driven by an incessant desire for more?" Lucas began to plan how he would make this transition. First, he reached out to his lawyers and financial advisors, people he had worked with for years. In a meeting marked by palpable tension, Lucas explained his decision. He spoke about his spiritual journey and how Lama Dorje's lessons had changed his outlook on life. Although his advisors' reactions were often of surprise and in some cases concern, Lucas was resolute. He knew this was the right direction for him. After the meeting, Lucas began working on a plan for distributing his wealth. He decided that the majority of his wealth would go to causes he felt were truly important, such as education, healthcare, and supporting disadvantaged communities. He chose projects and organizations that worked to improve people's lives, and that reflected his new values of compassion and service. As Lucas dealt with the sale of his properties and the liquidation of his assets, there was a mix of emotions. There was a sense of relief and a growing sense of freedom, but also a recognition of the magnitude of the change he was making. The luxury and glamour of his former life were being replaced by a path of simplicity and dedication to the well-being of others. Lucas also began to reflect on how he could use the skills and knowledge he had gained throughout his career to help in a more direct way. He considered creating a foundation that would provide mentorship and resources to entrepreneurs and community leaders who wanted to make a difference. He wanted to share what he had learned about leadership and success in a way that would benefit society, rather than simply seek personal gain. Lucas's decision was formalized in a simple but deeply meaningful ceremony. He made a final visit to the temple to bid farewell to Lama Dorje, who greeted him with a serene smile and words of encouragement. The monk expressed his support and gratitude that Lucas had found a path that integrated his deepest values with his actions. As Lucas left the temple, he felt lighter and more aligned with his true essence. He knew that the path ahead would be challenging, and that he would face obstacles as he attempted to implement his new ideas and projects. However, the knowledge that he was following a genuine purpose and contributing to the well-being of others brought him a satisfaction that material success had never provided. And so Lucas Montero set out on a new chapter in his life, leaving behind the glitter of his former existence for a life of simplicity and service. He was determined to live by the principles he had learned and to seek personal fulfillment that was true and lasting. And in doing so, he hoped not only to find happiness for himself, but also to inspire others to seek the same kind of deep and meaningful fulfillment. After months of introspection and transformation in the Himalayan mountains, Lucas Montero returned to his home country carrying with him not only a new outlook on life, but also a renewed sense of purpose. His decision to abandon a life of wealth and status to dedicate himself to serving others had not gone unnoticed, and he was about to face a complex and challenging reality. When he landed at the airport, Lucas was greeted by a very different scene from the one he had left. The contrast between the tranquil spiritual ambience of the temple and the hustle and bustle of the airport was striking. The bright lights, the sound of rolling luggage, and the voices all around him reminded him that the world outside the temple was full of complexity and expectations. When Lucas arrived at his former mansion, he was greeted by a mix of reactions. The house that had once symbolized his success and wealth now felt like a space filled with memories and unfulfilled expectations. Some of his former business colleagues and close friends were curious to hear about his journey, while others were clearly incredulous. They had grown accustomed to seeing Lucas as a man of relentless success, and his decision to give it all up seemed incomprehensible to many. The first big meeting Lucas had was with his partners and investors. The room was full of familiar faces, all waiting for his explanations. Lucas sat at the head of the table, feeling the pressure of expectations and the questions that would arise. He began the meeting by sharing candidly his journey, Lama Dorj's teachings, and the deep reasons behind his decision. Some of those present listened with a mixture of amazement and skepticism. Many could not understand why someone who had everything would decide to give it all up. But there was also a small but significant fraction of support. Some of his colleagues expressed admiration for Lucas's courage and an interest in learning more about the philosophy he now embraced. The same contrast in reactions extended to his family. His relatives, who had grown accustomed to the image of Lucas as a successful businessman, were perplexed. Their reactions ranged from concern to skepticism. Lucas's mother, in particular, was concerned about his future. In an emotional conversation, she expressed her fear that he might be making a mistake. She wanted to know how he planned to support himself and how it would affect her well-being. On the other hand, there were family members who supported his new mission. Some of his siblings and close friends recognized the authenticity of Lucas's transformation and were eager to help him with his new endeavors. They saw the change as a way for Lucas to seek a true and meaningful purpose, and they were willing to offer support. With the support of his network of friends and some family members, Lucas began working on his charitable projects. The first step was to establish a foundation that he had envisioned during his time in the temple. He wanted to focus on initiatives that promoted education and community development, with a particular emphasis on helping vulnerable youth. Lucas dove headfirst into his new ventures. He met with community leaders and nonprofits to better understand the needs of underserved communities. His business experience helped him formulate effective strategies, but he was now more interested in making a tangible, positive impact on lives than in making a profit. Projects began to take shape. Lucas organized fundraisers, distributed resources to schools and health centers, and engaged directly with the communities he was helping. He began working alongside the beneficiaries of the projects, personally helping with activities and immersing himself in the life stories of the people he was working with. Although there were challenges and difficult moments, Lucas felt a new level of satisfaction and fulfillment that he had not experienced before. The return to the real world, with all its complexities and criticisms, was balanced by the joy of seeing the positive impact of his work. He knew he was facing a difficult journey, but he was also convinced that he was on the right path. And so Lucas Montero began to build a new life, grounded in the principles he had learned and experienced in the temple. His decision to dedicate himself to serving others and living with purpose brought new meaning to his existence, and he continued to face reality with courage and determination, determined to make a difference in the world around him. With his decision made and his projects underway, Lucas Montero dove headfirst into his new life of service and giving. The transformation he had sought came to fruition in ways he had never imagined, revealing the depth of his new mission and the joy it brought him. Soon after beginning his charitable endeavors, Lucas noticed a marked change in his own outlook. As he visited underprivileged communities and collaborated with nonprofits, he began to experience a kind of fulfillment that he had not found in accumulating wealth or professional prestige. Connecting with the people he was helping brought new meaning to his life. One of the first projects Lucas undertook was building a school in a remote area where children had been denied educational opportunities due to a lack of infrastructure. Visiting the site before and after construction was a deeply moving experience for Lucas. He remembered the first day he visited the community, a small village with simple houses, where children played in the dust and parents worked hard to support their families. When the school opened, Lucas had the chance to see the bright smiles on the children's faces and hear the joy in their laughter as they explored their new surroundings. He realized that these children, with their potential and dreams, had the opportunity to change their lives and contribute to their communities in meaningful ways. The joy Lucas felt as he saw these changes was palpable and genuine. Another significant area of his contribution was in healthcare. Lucas began supporting mobile clinics that traveled to rural and isolated areas, providing basic medical care and health education. During one of these visits, Lucas met Anna, an elderly woman who had spent years without access to regular medical care. The pain and struggle in her eyes was evident, and Lucas felt a deep empathy. When the mobile clinic arrived and Anna received treatment, her relief and gratitude touched Lucas's heart deeply. Lucas not only funded these initiatives, but he also actively engaged in them. He learned to listen and understand the needs of the communities he was working with. He talked to residents, shared simple meals, and participated in local activities. Each interaction helped him better understand realities that had previously been beyond his reach. He discovered that true happiness came not just from giving resources, but from personally connecting with people and understanding their lives and challenges. In each project, Lucas found ways to apply the principles he had learned in the temple. He promoted the concept of collaboration and empathy, encouraging communities to help each other and build a sense of community and solidarity. He saw how these communities thrived when they had access to resources and support, but also when they were encouraged to actively participate in their own development. The impact of Lucas's initiatives was significant. He saw schools full of children eager to learn, clinics providing essential care, and communities that were growing stronger through local development projects. Lucas's work inspired others to get involved and contribute, creating a network of support and collaboration that spread beyond the borders of the communities he initially helped. In addition, Lucas found a new form of happiness in realizing that his life was aligned with his deepest values. The fulfillment he experienced in seeing the transformation in the lives of the people he helped was incomparable to any material satisfaction he had known before. He had discovered that true wealth came from the ability to make a difference and connect with others on a deeper level. So Lucas Montero continued his journey with a heart full of gratitude and purpose. He had found new meaning in life, a life dedicated to serving others, and the satisfaction that came with it was a testament to true fulfillment. Lucas had not only changed the lives of many, but he had also transformed his own, living with a purpose that he knew was more meaningful than any material success. Lucas's journey was now a story of impact and inspiration, demonstrating how true happiness can be found through service and genuine connection with others. After months of dedicating himself to helping those in need and living a life of service, Lucas Montero felt a deep longing to return to the remote temple in the Himalayan mountains. He needed to meet Lama Dorje, the monk who had been instrumental in his journey of transformation. The temple, which had once been a haven of introspection, now represented for him the beginning of a new life. The journey back was filled with eager anticipation, a need to share his achievements and new understandings. Upon arrival, Lucas was greeted once again with the same serenity and welcome he remembered from his first visit. The tranquil mountain landscape, the soft sound of the wind, and the scent of wildflowers seemed to envelop Lucas in an aura of peace that he had come to cherish deeply. Lama Dorje was in his usual spot, meditating beneath the shade of a large tree, the same spot where Lucas had spent so many hours in reflection. The monk was as serene as ever, and upon seeing Lucas, his eyes shone with quiet wisdom. Lama Dorje wordlessly gestured for Lucas to sit beside him. Lucas sat down with a deep sigh, his heart pounding with anticipation of sharing his journey. He looked at the monk, feeling an overwhelming gratitude for all that he had learned. "Lama Dorje," he began, his voice brimming with emotion, "I have come to tell you about the impact that your words and teachings have had on my life." Lama Dorje smiled gently and gestured for Lucas to continue. "When I first left the temple," Lucas continued, "I was determined to make radical changes. I thought that giving up my possessions and status would be the answer to my restlessness. But as I became involved with impoverished communities and worked on charitable projects, I realized that true transformation was not just about giving up material things. It was about something much deeper. He paused, looking out at the mountains surrounding the temple. I began to understand that true fulfillment comes from finding a higher purpose and genuinely connecting with what is important in life. When I helped build schools and clinics, it wasn't just the act of helping that transformed me. It was the way these actions connected me with others, how I saw real change in people's lives, and how these experiences taught me about empathy and gratitude. The monk listened intently, his eyes expressing quiet pride. Lucas continued, Lama Dorje, I have discovered that true purpose is not in possessions or status. It is in living by values that truly matter, such as compassion, generosity, and service to others. By connecting with these communities, I have also connected with a part of myself that had been obscured by the desire for success and recognition. Lucas looked at the monk with an expression of deep insight. I have learned that it is not just about what we do, but about how we relate to others and to ourselves. True happiness, I have come to realize, comes from finding a purpose that goes beyond ourselves and contributing to something greater. Lama Dorje nodded slowly, his face lit with an understanding smile. Lucas, the monk said softly, you have found the essence of what we seek on our spiritual journey. True wisdom is not just in learning the words, but in living them and integrating them into your life. You have discovered that happiness and fulfillment come from the heart, from a genuine desire to help others, and from living with integrity and purpose. The reunion between Lucas and Lama Dorje was more than just a conversation. It was a moment of celebration and recognition. Lucas had found the inner peace he had been seeking, and the monk saw the fulfillment of his own lessons in Lucas's journey. I am eternally grateful for your guidance, Lama Dorje, Lucas said with a sincere smile. Your wisdom has not only guided me to make changes, but has helped me understand that true change comes from within. Life now has a meaning I have never known before, and that is more precious than any material wealth. The monk bowed slightly and Lucas followed him, feeling lighter and more complete than ever. They spent some time in silence, reflecting on what had been discussed, as the sun slowly set over the mountains, tinting the sky with golden and pink hues. Lucas's return to the temple marked the end of an important chapter in his life, but also the beginning of a new phase. He had learned the most precious lesson of all. True wealth lies in living a life of purpose and truly connecting with others. And so, with a renewed heart and a peaceful soul, Lucas continued on his journey, now guided by a deeper understanding of what it means to live fully. Conclusion: Lucas Montero's legacy. Lucas Montero's story has become a beacon of inspiration for many who, like him, sought something deeper than the fleeting glitter of success and wealth. His journey, which began with an emotional breakdown and a desperate search for meaning, has become a powerful testament to how true purpose can be found through reflection and service to others. After his courageous decision to give up his fortune and dedicate his life to service, Lucas began to build a legacy that would touch the lives of thousands of people. His name became associated not only with a successful businessman, but with a shining example of altruism and personal transformation. Lucas founded the Fundação Nova Vida, a non-profit organization dedicated to improving the quality of life in underserved communities. The foundation focused on projects that ranged from building schools and clinics to implementing job training programs for vulnerable youth. With each new project, Lucas was there, not just as a funder, but as a true participant, working side by side with those who needed help most. His hands-on approach and dedication inspired many to join the cause. He organized fundraisers and awareness events that garnered media attention and sparked interest from new supporters. Most importantly, Lucas became a mentor to other philanthropists and community leaders, sharing his experiences and teachings about the power of service and compassion. The impact of his work was visible not only in the tangible improvements in communities, but also in the stories of personal transformation that emerged. Young people who were once discouraged and without prospects found new opportunities and dreams thanks to Lucas's initiatives. Families who struggled to access basic medical care now had hope and a better future. Lucas's influence extended beyond his direct initiatives. He began to be invited to conferences and lectures, where he shared his story and discoveries with a wider audience. His speeches were filled with wisdom gained throughout his journey, emphasizing the importance of letting go, authenticity, and genuine connection with others. Lucas' message resonated strongly with many, showing that true fulfillment lies not in accumulating wealth, but in living a life of purpose and impact. He became a symbol of how personal reflection and letting go can lead to a richer, more meaningful life, a life where true happiness is found not in possessions, but in experiences and human connection. The conclusion of his story is a powerful reminder that we all have the ability to transform our lives, and in doing so, transform the world around us. Lucas Montero's legacy is a testament to the fact that by embracing our own journeys of self-discovery and service, we can create lasting, positive impact that transcends the boundaries of time and space. Looking back, Lucas sees not just a path of personal success, but one of genuine and profound fulfillment. His story is a beacon of light for those seeking a greater purpose in life, and his legacy will continue to inspire and motivate, reminding us all that true wealth is measured by the impact we have on the lives of others and the depth with which we live our own journey. And so, Lucas Montero's name is not only remembered for his material achievements, but for something much more lasting: the way he used his life to make a difference, proving that true happiness and fulfillment come from the heart and the sincere desire to contribute to a better world.